Dear Miss Luisa Gonzalez and Mr. Daniel Noboa, you probably don't know who I am, but I most certainly know who you are. And as someone who both lives in and loves Ecuador, I am here today on behalf of the people of Ecuador to hold you accountable for the things you have promised to do if you become the president of Ecuador. We're going to focus on the 5 key proposals that both of you have made, and then I'll give a few final words to send you on your way. So let's begin with Luisa Gonzalez. Luisa Gonzalez's government plan consists of 3 fundamental axes: security, work, and well-being. These are her 5 main proposals around these axes. The first main proposal is public security. In terms of security, the candidate proposes to reinstate the coordinating Ministry of Security and the Ministry of Justice, Human Rights, and Cultures, as well as to restructure the ministries of the Interior and Government, and to purge the security forces. The candidate proposes to establish a new model of citizen security based on prevention, the reduction of violence, and peaceful coexistence. Gonzalez proposes to strengthen the integrated security system ECU 911 or ECU 911 because, according to her campaign, it is underutilized today. The second proposal, fight against crime and impunity. Likewise, she proposes a strong hand against crime. Among other proposals, there is the strengthening of law enforcement and criminal justice to improve the capacity for investigation, evidence collection, and prosecution of criminals. In addition, she seeks to promote cooperation between agencies for the prevention and fight against organized crime. Gonzalez says that the goal is to reduce impunity, ensuring that criminals are brought to justice, and the proportional and dissuasive sanctions are applied to their actions. To achieve this, according to her work plan, she will seek to strengthen the judicial and prison systems. The candidate establishes in her government plan an approach to the fight against corruption with a system that protects and secures witnesses and whistleblowers of corruption and organized crime. In addition, it emphasizes on strengthening accountability. Luisa's third proposal is to democratize the economy. As for the economy, Gonzalez proposes, among other things, to stabilize non-oil revenues by adapting tax pressure according to international standards. Also, in economic matters, the candidate plans to boost the economy with an injection of $2.5 billion for the public sector. Gonzalez proposes a plan for economic justice with equal opportunities through the strengthening of consumer protection mechanisms, the democratization of access to financial resources in public banks, and the reduction of interest rates. Her fourth proposal is decent employment. Gonzalez proposes an improvement in employment, from decent wages and safe conditions to respect for labor rights. The candidate places special emphasis on women in this point, since she proposes workplaces free of violence and harassment, as well as maternity protection and recognition of care and parenting. The candidate's plan says that the goal is to establish as an inalienable principle the priority of decent work and inclusive growth for any negotiation with the creditors of the public debt as a necessary condition. Luisa Gonzalez proposes to control companies that use digital platforms to ensure that they respect the labor rights of the people they employ on a salaried basis. In addition, she seeks to promote legislation to vindicate the right to first youth employment, internship, and dual training strategies and tax exemptions for companies that generate formal jobs for young people. And her fifth key proposal is the protection for women. In relation to gender issues, Luisa Gonzalez also seeks to intensify the fight against domestic and sexual violence. Her proposal includes establishing a basic economic income and housing alternatives for women who suffer violence. Gonzalez proposes the creation of the Police Women's Unit for the prevention, monitoring, and investigation of femicides, human trafficking for sexual exploitation, and violence against women. Now, moving on to Daniel Noboa, his proposals are centered around returning security and economic growth to the country, as well as defeating Correísmo, or Correism. These are his 5 key proposals. Noboa's first proposal is reforming the penitentiary and judicial system. Security has been the main focus and one of the main concerns of Ecuadorians in a country that faces deadly revolts in prisons in the midst of cross wars between gangs, murders of political leaders, and officials. The candidate of the National Democratic Action Party assures in his work plan that Ecuador's slow economic growth in relation to other Latin American countries is linked to, among other things, the high levels of crime. In addition, he points directly against the current approach to dealing with the violence that plagues the country. The current approach, mainly punitive, has proven to be insufficient. On the other hand, he is committed to prevention policies such as investing in education and creating employment opportunities. Beyond that, Noboa proposes a significant reform of Ecuador's security institutions, including the penitentiary and judicial system. Specifically, he proposes to improve the education and training of prison staff as well as investment in infrastructure within prisons. In addition, the candidate seeks to create rehabilitation programs for criminals. This involves strengthening the training of police officers in methods of peaceful conflict resolution, implementing rehabilitation, and social reintegration programs for prisoners, he explains in his work plan. Another of Noboa's key proposals is to create a judicial and procedural system with quick and fair trials. Noboa's second proposal is the Phoenix Plan. Within the security axis, Noboa has proposed the Phoenix Plan, through which he assures that he will create an intelligence center that allows to provide vital information to prevent crimes, respond to emergencies, and guarantee the safety of neighborhoods, according to his campaign. In a promotional video published on his social networks, the businessman exposes what his intelligence center will be like and the tactical equipment with which he intends to equip the forces of law and order. High-strength ballistic uniforms, vests with ceramic panel and full-face helmets with level 4 protection, precision pistols, state-of-the-art rifles, and night vision equipment, drones for aerial surveillance with facial recognition, and armored patrols and a satellite mapping system. His third proposal is to protect and strengthen dollarization. It's been 23 years since Ecuador adopted the dollar as its official currency. The measure was implemented by former President Jamil Mahuad. Noboa says that one of his strong proposals is to protect and strengthen dollarization. In his work plan, he explains that to achieve this, it is necessary to maintain fiscal discipline and increase international reserves, which will provide a safety net in case of external economic shocks. In addition, he assures that to protect dollarization, it is also necessary to promote investment, both internal and external, and control inflation. Although Ecuador cannot directly control inflation through monetary policy due to dollarization, it can implement fiscal and economic policies that help keep inflation under control, reads his campaign document. Noboa's fourth key proposal is to reduce unemployment. One of Noboa's main objectives at the economic level, according to his work plan, is to reduce unemployment rates in Ecuador. To achieve this, in addition to strengthening dollarization, Noboa says that he will improve the conditions to attract foreign direct investment from the creation of an attractive business environment. That includes, for example, tax incentives. Noboa explains in his work plan that it is also crucial that credits are granted responsibly and thus avoid the creation of credit bubbles that can lead to a financial crisis. How? The candidate proposes the following. Work with banks to reduce interest rates, especially for small and medium-sized companies. Create credit guarantee programs that reduce risk for lenders and make it easier for companies to obtain loans. And implement regulations to ensure that lenders act fairly and transparently. And his fifth key proposal is boosting competitiveness. We must be a competitive country. Nowadays, Ecuador is not. We should have electricity at a lower cost, a lower fuel cost, a development of irrigation infrastructure for our small and large farmers, without forgetting also a tax system that promotes the generation of employment. These are the proposals of both candidates, and if you'd like to read through them, then the link will be in the description or in a pinned comment. Now look, Noboa and Luisa, I realize that you're both politicians, but I would hope that deep down in your hearts, you want what's best for Ecuador and for the people of Ecuador. And ojo, which literally means I, this thing, but in English it's more like remember or take into account. I don't believe you have to live in or be born in Ecuador to be a person of Ecuador. As long as you love Ecuador and want what's best for it, that's more than enough. And be real with me, Noboa and Luisa. Even if you're both politicians, I find it really hard to believe that either of you would want to only be remembered in memes, like another person that we know that is only considered Wheels or El Ruedas. I also think that neither of you want to become a fugitive of Ecuador. And surely neither of you want to be known as the president who did absolutely nothing for the country, or even worse, made tiny improvements in comparison to the substantial amounts of money you stole from the country. You don't want any of that now, do you? Which one of you do I think is gonna win this election? I have no idea. While people do seem to want change, a lot of people seem to really want to go back to the way things were, which led us to the situation that we're currently in. While people seem to be really kind, they also seem to really like cutting corners, even if it's at the expense of others. It's the ley del sabido, as they call it here. All I know is no matter who wins, there are no guarantees because we have been lied to by politicians before. I honestly don't think there will be any noticeably big or fast changes. And I doubt anyone expects there to be any. Though I'm sure we'd all be very happy if these changes did happen, and I never lose hope for them to actually happen. But if the person regardless of who wins the election, decides to do the right things, then everyone wins. And then things in Ecuador will finally be able to start moving towards a better tomorrow.